Hello and welcome to the International Education Day online event. My name is Sukarariti. I'm an MC for this program. I'm super excited to have you all here about all the amazing speeches on different topics from a secondary school student, students from our faculty, and of course, a talk on blended learning by Dr. Richard Kiddo. Now, before we begin, let me tell you why we have organized this online event. Actually, this International Education Day had been scheduled to be held on December 24th, 2020 on campus. But all of a sudden, COVID-19 has been an issue, so we could not have this event organized on campus as we planned. Thanks to the technology that brings us all together today through this online event. Before we get to the special talk by Dr. Richard Kiddo, I would like to briefly tell you about our program. First, a welcome message from Dean of Faculty of Education, then a special talk by Dr. Richard Kiddo. Dr. Kiddo's worked at the Demonstration School of Ramkhamhaeng University in English program. Next, joining us today are amazing students to deliver their speeches. When I say amazing, I mean it. As you listen to their stories, you will notice the power and passion in their voice. Now, let's welcome Dean of Faculty of Education's Associate Professor Police Lieutenant Colonel Siripong Saopayon.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, guests, teachers, and students. It's my pleasure to welcome you all to International Education Day. Inspirational Teachers in the New Normal. In the world of globalization and cultural diversity has become more common in the classrooms. In the matter, we cannot avoid the importance of raising cultural awareness to our students. Teachers should raise this awareness in the classroom. Once again, I would like to welcome everyone to enjoy our online event. Thank you very much.
I'm Anongna Pepasert. I am a project leader of International Education Day, and I would like to welcome all of you to join our online event today. I hope you are well and your family, friends, and colleagues are too. The world is different today compared to 2 years ago. Now we face immediate needs, but we cannot let the coronavirus overshadow our reason for being teachers. I was disappointed that last year we couldn't hold this program, and I believe that many of you were too. Finally, I'd like to thank many people for your assistance and support. Dean of the Faculty of Education, Administrative Board, the faculty members, the department chairs, the Department of Curriculum and Instruction, and the Department of Physical Education. Of course, thank you students. Thank you for joining us. And everyone, I hope you enjoy the program. Have a good day.
Welcome to Blended Learning within the Thai Concepts by me, Dr. Richard Kiddo at the University of Ramkhamhaeng. Table of contents. First, we'll outline the problem and explain the concept of blended learning. Number 2, learning management systems. And then we'll explore blended learning in Thailand. After that, scaffolding, outline of the problem, and blended learning. Okay, first thing, in Thailand, you need to be ready for anything. There are many things that can interrupt regular classes. A lockdown due to COVID-19, protests, flooding, possibly even a drought. This is regular life in Bangkok. What is blended learning? Blended learning refers to the use of technology with a mixture of pedagogical methods or philosophies. It's often described as student-centered. It's effective and thoughtful use of technology to enhance learning and teaching. Okay, so blended learning is used in Asia, particularly at this university, Ramkhamhaeng. Okay, where they use a combination of online learning and offline books to cater for the students doing distance learning. Audio-visual media, radio and TV are particularly valuable in countries like in Asia with higher literacy rates, such as Thailand, or large distributed populations. So it's easier to communicate via sound and pictures, okay, rather than books because literacy rates are quite low. Okay, so according to Bill Gates, first we need a schoolroom, second we need a teacher that shows up, and third is electricity. And then only then it may be appropriate to consider ICT. So basically what he's saying is that information technology in education is helpful, but it's less important than the essentials. Having a school, having a teacher which shows up, which often in Asia that doesn't happen, okay, and a regular supply of electricity. Plus of course things like students who are well fed, like that. Okay, so considering the Thai context. So Thais have an oral tradition which leads to different patterns of learning. There is also a lack of expertise and experience in, but specifically blended learning and online learning. Lack of accreditation and certification standards for e-learning. Unfortunately, ICT integration is neither systematic nor pre and in-service teacher training is more focused on skills development rather than how and whether ICT should be integrated in the classroom. Most of the investment is in hardware, things like computers and big TVs, rather than actually finding a way to implement e-learning. Again, unfortunately, there's a lack of technical support, and the internet is primarily used as an entertaining medium, not as an education medium. And as I mentioned before, Thais have very low reading proficiency. Okay, learning management systems, or LMS. Okay, so one I've had experience with is Moodle. Pros and cons, in my opinion, it's best for university courses, and it allows a very wide range of questions, advanced analytics, so it's used for research. However, you need to provide your own server for more than 50 students. Less than 50, it's free if you use Moodle Cloud, fully customizable, but also it can be difficult, it can be intimidating to use, although it's not that difficult. So initial training is needed for both instructors and students. Google Classroom is the one we use at the high school. It's best for school students because it's a point and click interface. Unfortunately, there isn't that many different questions, although because of the way the course stream is set up, it's good for just setting assignments, which is fine during online learning, but you can't put a complete course on there because it's difficult, because there's no branching. It's difficult to find the assignments. Yeah, you can't customize it, but it does integrate with Google Workspace, Doc, Forms, Sheets. Okay, so yeah, I've used Google Classroom for assignments, so you can once from your Google Drive or add a link to an external website. If you want a quiz, you can select quiz assignment and it will create a Google form for you with the quiz settings already enabled, and you can create quizzes which are both manually graded and automatically graded. If you want, it can send the grades back to Google Classroom LMS. Okay, so use Google Docs. The most useful thing to use is if you click on the pencil, it will change the mode. So you can change it from edit mode, which is when you create documents, to comment mode, and you can use it to grade your students' assignments. Things like to write equations, you can use format. Okay, you can also use Google Jamboard. It's accessible via Google Drive, and it will integrate with Google Classroom. The Google Jamboard can be used as a virtual whiteboard, but its main use is for business guys doing planning. Okay, so it isn't that useful for classrooms because I don't like the way you can type it. If you click here, it just creates a card where you can write your ideas down. This is not so good for going through questions and things. However, you can share it with the students and you can export it as a PDF so you can load it up to your Google Classroom for later. I use Windows Snip and Sketch. Okay, so that's this presentation. Okay, click access Snip and Sketch from the start menu. You type Snip and Sketch, and then you can grab and edit other screens like pictures from ebooks and then integrate it into your online presentations. Okay, so blended learning in time. So thanks to the COVID crisis last year, with this experience teaching online in time, what I've found is it's best to use blended learning. Maybe tomorrow teaching online because if something happened. If it's all on Google Classroom, then the students can either do it, and the students can answer in person with you, which is obviously ideal, or they can do it during online learning, which is not so ideal. So one of the things I use to teach programming is Code Academy. This is very useful. So the students can program it in the classroom, use the program in the classroom, and I can show them how it works, projecting it on the smart TV. So it's much easier to help them by directly, or if that's not possible, I'm teaching online, then I can ask them to share their work, or I can also monitor it from the teacher's board. So one of the exercises we did was songwriting. So on the right hand side there's a Google Doc, which was obviously typed on the phones, okay, or on the computer, okay, or they wanted to do it, or they could do it in the notebooks and take a picture, okay, and if I'm there, show me, or if I'm not there, they can upload it. The last part of the student's work is wrong, so digitally put a black red cross over it. Scaffolding. Okay, scaffolding is a socio-cultural view of learning, according to the Vygotsky School of Education. So the point of scaffolding is to assist the students in forming concepts. Scaffolding is used to help to build buildings, okay. It can be metal, which is in the UK, okay. It also stops people falling off while they're building it as well. Or it can be made from bamboo, like in Asia. But it doesn't matter because both materials are both strong and sturdy. After you're finished, you take the scaffolding away. So here's an example of a scaffolding is used in the classroom. So here's a learning zone model. Okay, so the blue zone, the comfort zone, is not good because the students get bored. So that means it's too easy. And of course, we want to push them out the comfort zone. But the problem is they get in the red zone where learning the new concepts is too difficult for them. So we need to scaffold it so they're in the yellow zone, okay? Because ideally the students should be a little bit stressed. This is the ideal environment for learning. A little bit stressed so it gets the brain going. Example of a language class. So the student is explaining a science experiment that he's observed. Okay? The student is saying it all got dried up. The teacher doesn't criticize him. He repeats what he says because it is correct. It's just not using academic English. So the teacher repeats what he says, but using the correct terms. Student, it got dried up. Yes. Teacher, yes, the water dried up. It evaporated. A high challenge classroom requires high levels of language support. Yes, the problem is lack of context. Second language learners, they learn the conversation language, but it's very hard for them to make the transition to academic language. In fact, many of them, they never make the transition. So teachers should allow thinking time before students should answer. So you ask the question, you wait for the student so that they can form the answer, because it's difficult to do it in second language. Okay, teachers should help students to explain their reasoning and not just give information. Yeah, they should not belittle the students when they make a grammatical mistake. Okay, just teach them as conversation partners. So a good scaffolding lesson plan should have the main activity, observing something in the real world. It could be a science experiment or watching a video about some historical period. So then, and the teacher, maybe in conjunction with the students, should isolate the key vocabulary, and the students report what they experienced orally first, and then it goes to the highest skill, which is writing. Okay, so you describe the activity in words, and the student and the teacher talk about it, and then the student writes a report. So here's a sample lesson. So the students are going to research common insects in order to understand what all insects have in common. Okay, so it's finding patterns. Compare the difference between spiders and insects. Study some of the spiders that are found in gardens or people's homes. Know how to avoid being bitten. And produce an information report on an insect or spider that they choose. Okay, so there's the report. So the language outcomes. The student should make generalizations. Describe the appearance of the insects using the specialist vocabulary, the key vocabulary. Explain how to avoid getting bitten. And structure the report correctly. So the headings could be appearance, habitat, food, life cycle. And then use time connectivities for describing the sequence of insect's life cycle. First, second, after this, finally. Okay, so summary. So I've talked about blended learning, specifically blended learning in Asia. So, to summarize, first we discussed blended learning. What is blended learning and how blended learning is currently used in Asia? Then we looked at how e-learning, blended learning fits into the Thai context. After that, we went on to learning management systems, Moodle and Google Classroom. Then I introduced the concept of scaffolding and hopefully helped you to understand the concept by showing you how to integrate it into your lessons. Finally, here is my references, slide number and the website or book I got the information from.
在座的各位大家好，我的名字叫李贤忠。今天我要讲的题目是汉语在全世界有多重要。我们都知道学习英语非常重要，许多国家的学生都花了很多钱和时间学习英语。不过，你们知不知道全世界中国的汉语有多火？随着每个国家的不断发展，汉语的使用者已经超过了1亿人。如果你们走进一个学习汉语的国家，可能一时间会觉得他们全部都在用汉语说话。在我们不知道的情况下，有些国家已经讲汉语，比如俄罗斯、爱尔兰、英国、美国等，他们都把汉语纳入到中小学与大学的考试中。而泰国也是把汉语纳入国民的教育体系中，并且计划7年内把汉语课堂教学的学校增加到1710所学校。其实全都是有原因的。随着中国快速的发展，国家之间的交流越来越频繁，许多外国人在工作要和中国人打交道，他们也是明白学习好汉语就意味着增加自身的竞争力。实际上，学习英语的想法几乎与中文相同。如果想要一家国际公司工作，则必须努力学习外语。中国现在每年吸引了许多外国人，如果不会说汉语，就等于在中国没有发展的机会。如果很多的外国人在面对巨大的困难，他们仍然必须学习中文。许多外国人也说，随着中国的发展，在世界上的影响力越来越大，越来越多的人也认为学习汉语就是跟上发展的步伐。不过，疑问的是，外国人如何测试中文，或者在教育中面对中文？通过泰国人学习第二语言，泰国的汉语教育正在迅速发展。一方面是中国政府支持泰国发展汉语学习， 另外一方面是泰国政府的鼓励，因为我们的政府看到学习中文的重要性。谢谢。
สวัสดีครับกระผมนายสัตพัฒน์หอมทองนักศึกษาคณะศึกษาศาสตร์เอกวิชาภาษาไทยจากมหาวิทยาลัยรามคำแหงวันนี้กระผมจะมาพูดสุนทรพจน์เรื่องครูค่าของครูผู้ให้ในใจศิษย์เกื้อชีวิตก่อวิญญาณการศึกษาแม่พิมพ์ชาติแม่พิมพ์ชนคนเรื่อยมาคือครูบาอาจารย์บันดาลใจคำว่าครูแม้จะเป็นเพียงถ้อยคำที่ใครหลายคนคุ้นเคยฟังดูแล้วอาจจะไม่ได้สวยหรูเหมือนคำเรียกขานอื่นๆแต่ทว่าคำสั้นๆคำนี้มีอานุภาพอันยิ่งใหญ่เหลือเกินครับเพราะสามารถสร้างแรงบันดาลใจสร้างคนสร้างชาติให้เจริญวัฒนาถาวรเป็นที่ประจักษ์จวบจนปัจจุบันหากจะเปรียบลูกศิษย์แต่ละคนของครูคือต้นไม้ต้นหนึ่งครูก็คงจะเปรียบได้กับผู้บ่มเพาะเมล็ดพันธุ์ทางการศึกษาซึ่งครูนี่แหละครับที่จะคอยใช้จิตวิญญาณเพื่อทำหน้าที่รับเอาเมล็ดพันธุ์ที่มีความแตกต่างกันเข้ามาไว้ในเรือนเพาะชำซึ่งเรียกว่าโรงเรียนเฝ้าอนุบาลปลูกเลี้ยงคอยรดน้ำใส่ปุ๋ยซึ่งน้ำและปุ๋ยนั้นก็คือความรู้คุณธรรมจริยธรรมและค่านิยมอันดีงามเฝ้าอดทนรอวันให้ต้นกล้าค่อยๆเจริญเติบใหญ่แข็งแรงขึ้นจนกระทั่งสามารถยืนหยัดอยู่บนผืนดินที่มีความแตกต่างกันตามธรรมชาติของต้นไม้แต่ละชนิดหน้าที่ของครูใช่จะหมดลงเพียงเท่านี้ครับครูยังจะต้องทุ่มแรงกายแรงใจและใช้อุดมการณ์ในการดูแลเอาใจใส่ต้นไม้แต่ละต้นทั้งคอยพรวนดินดูแลโรคแมลงทั้งหลายและหมั่นอบรมบ่มนิสัยในบางครั้งยังจะต้องตัดแต่งกิ่งก้านของต้นไม้ให้แตกกิ่งใหม่ออกยอดเป็นสาขาของความรู้คุณธรรมอย่างถูกต้องตามคันลองมีภูมิคุ้มกันที่ดีจนกระทั่งกลายเป็นต้นไม้ที่มีรูปทรงสันฐานที่งดงามสมบูรณ์พร้อมที่จะแผ่ร่มเงาสร้างความอุดมสมบูรณ์ให้แก่พื้นแผ่นดินที่เรียกว่าสังคมและประเทศชาติต่อไปในอนาคตเมื่อใดต้นไม้ของผู้เป็นครูสมบูรณ์พร้อมจนกระทั่งสามารถดูแลสังคมและประเทศชาติได้แล้วผลตอบแทนจากความทุ่มเทและเหน็ดเหนื่อยของครูที่จะได้รับก็มีเพียงความภาคภูมิใจที่เราเป็นส่วนสำคัญในการสร้างลูกศิษย์ให้เป็นพลเมืองและพลโลกที่มีคุณภาพนั่นเองจงภูมิใจเราคือครูผู้สร้างชาติให้องค์อาจยืนนานการศึกษาเอากายใจความคิดจิตวิญญาเพื่อนำพาชาติยืนยงคงนิรันดร์และนี่ก็คือครูคำเล็กๆที่ยิ่งใหญ่ซึ่งสามารถสร้างคนจากเยาวชนผู้เปรียบดังต้นกล้าให้แตกกิ่งก้านสาขาเป็นต้นไม้ใหญ่และเป็นประโยชน์แก่โลกดังคำกล่าวที่ว่าครูสร้างคนเยาวชนสร้างชาติสวัสดีครับ
สวัสดีค่ะดิฉันนางสาวกาถาขันขาวนักศึกษามหาวิทยาลัยรามคำแหงบทประชันเสภาการศึกษาศตวรรษที่ 21ประพันธ์โดยอาจารย์สุทธิพงษ์มากุลการศึกษาของไทยในวันนี้ ไม่เหมือนปีเก่าก่อนย้อนสมัยการเรียนรู้พัฒนาต้องก้าวไกลโลกเปลี่ยนไปหมุนเวียนเปลี่ยนมุมมองทั้งหลักสูตรวิธีสอนก็ต้องปรับเหมาะสมกับความต้องการงานทั้งพ้องครูต้องเพิ่มเสริมทักษะตามคันลองให้สอดคล้องศตวรรษใหม่ในทันทีเราควรยึดสามา84ดีเป็นเลิศสุดประเสริฐมากนักเป็นศักดิ์ศรีทั้งรีดไรอาริเตเมติกนั่นก็มีอีกทักษะ84ดีเหลือเกินขอสาธยายให้ทุกท่านได้รู้หลักแจ่มประจักษ์ทั่วกันเขาสรรเสริญยกระดับประเทศไทยให้จำเริญจงเพลิดเพลินเสพาศึกษาไปคิดวิเคราะห์วิจารณญาณในการกิจฝึกชีวิตให้สร้างสรรค์ทันสมัยนวัตกรรมคือที่สุดในหัวใจจะนำไทยวัฒนาสถาวรต่างภาษาต่างวัฒนธรรมประจำชาติเรื่องพิราชจำรัดประพัดสอนสามัคคีรวมพลังให้ทาวรคือทักษะคำสอนลูกหลานไทยสารสนเทศสื่อสารเท่าทันสื่อจงยึดถือรู้แจ้งแถลงขายคอมพิวเตอร์ICT นี่ก้าวไกลให้รู้ใช้รู้วิชาข้าควรครองมีทักษะการเรียนรู้คู่อาชีพคุณธรรมคือประทีปชีพทั้งพ้องสว่างวาวสกาวไทยดังใจปองโลกหันมองชาติสยามอารามไกลเจริญยิ่งสิ่งสรรบันเจิดฟ้าการศึกษาแดนสยาม งามสวัยศตวรรษที่21เสร็จวิไลจะนำไทยวัฒนาสถาวร
Hello everyone, my name is Elijah L. Pembercorn. I study at Sarah Sasvitet Bamutong School, grade 8, and I'm 13 years old. Today I'm going to talk about my inspiration of learning foreign languages. When I was a kid, there are many cartoons that are in English. I wanted to understand it, so I started learning English before going to school. My mother saw that I learned English very fast and well, so she let me learn Chinese to see if I was going the right way. The results turned out that I was going the right way, so she encouraged me to learn more languages. I can speak 7 languages. They are English, Thai, Chinese, Japanese, Korean, French, and German. Many people would ask me why are you spending time on these languages? You should spend time on science, social, math, or more subjects that can put you to college or university, so you can get a job at least, not spending time on these languages. What about your future? So many questions they asked, but I'll answer this in one sentence. Most parents would send their kids to learn social, math, science, more subjects, so they can be doctors or other rich, popular jobs. But they don't think about what their kids are good at. My parents knew that I'm good at languages, so they sent me to different courses of languages to learn. But if your kids are good at other ways, just let them learn what they're good at. Now I'm going to tell you the 7 languages and the reason why I learned it. The first language is Thai. Thai is my native language, so I have to learn it. If I didn't learn Thai, well, people would think that I'm weird. The second language is English. English is the major language that different countries use to communicate with each other. It is one of my favorite languages because it is my first language. And if I didn't learn English, well, what am I speaking then? The third language is Chinese. Chinese is one of my favorite languages too, because I like the strokes of the characters. I also like to listen to Chinese songs and watch Chinese dramas too. The fourth language is Japanese. Most anime and manga books come from Japan, so that's why I want to learn it. Also, Japan is easier for me because they have Chinese characters, which have similar meanings. The next one is Korean. People nowadays use more and more Korean, so I have to learn it to understand the people. Korean also have Chinese characters, and the structure of the sentence is the same as Japanese, so Korean is kind of easier for me. The sixth language is French. French is also one of my favorite languages because it is a very beautiful language. I like the way they pronounce the words. It is also one of the modern and fancy languages. That's why I want to learn it. The last language is German. My teacher said that German is one of the hardest languages on this planet. So I want to challenge myself by learning German. It is also one of the modern languages that most Europeans use. In the future, robots might take the job from us. Do all the jobs. Technology is also getting more and more advanced. But there is one thing that the robots can't take from us. That is our accent. That's why I want to learn the accent too when I learn those languages. Also, many European people couldn't understand English if we don't have the right accent. So I learned other European languages too. And that is it for my presentation of my inspiration of learning foreign languages. Thank you so much.
Hi everyone, I am Yuami. I'm the representative of Education Faculty English major. There are three words in my mind when I think of the word Christmas: culture, teacher, and inspiration. Everyone, the first time I heard about Christmas, there is one thing that came to my mind. I've never had my Christmas. Actually, I don't really know what Christmas is or how Christmas begins. What I know is it's about Christianity, Christmas tree, and Santa Claus. These three things are always together when I think of Christmas. Nowadays, we can see the celebration of Christmas all around the world. Now I'm going to talk about Christmas in Thailand. Everyone, we all know that actually Thailand is a multicultural society. We have a variety of cultures, thoughts, beliefs, and religion. So it is clear that we, as Thai, have different perspectives or reactions on Christmas. Some societies already get used to it. For example, people in Bangkok metropolis, the coming of Christmas trees remind them of Santa Claus, Central World, and New Year. The schools are decorated to welcome the day. But on the other hand, if you were people in my hometown, it will be totally different. We've never been excited about Christmas. Actually, we don't celebrate Christmas, and the schools are hardly decorated for Christmas, and we spend the day as our normal daily life. For me, I knew Christmas, but I didn't put enough attention on it. Everyone, as can be seen now, I am a Muslim and I learned to understand Christmas. I learned its history, so I know my boundary in terms of what I'm capable of doing things at Christmas. You know, when I studied in high level, there were lessons about English native speaker cultures, beliefs, and festival. So I have to adjust my lens to see another part of the world. And this is the cultural diversity that we need to accept. And this is the reason why I am here. I believe that lots of my friends right here will be a teacher. Being a teacher, we have to face to the diversity of beliefs among our students. They are all different. They have their own cultures and beliefs. So we need to learn about them, try to understand them, and accept who they really are. It's like learning other languages. We accept the differences between other language and our language. Think of when you have to conjugate the verb in learning English. For example, the word go. It will be go, went, and gone. Another word, a word know. It will be know, knew, and know. One word has three forms, but we don't have to do this in Thai language. We don't have to conjugate the verb in Thai language. Everyone, when we learn other languages, we need to know the cultures of native speakers. It's unavoidable. And as a teacher, especially English teacher, we have to teach our students about Christmas. They need to learn about other cultures so they can learn to understand, accept, and adjust themselves among these cultural diversities. Everyone, I am not so sure about my life in this such a big world. But one thing I do know now, I am trying my best to be a teacher. Talking about Christmas, the question about Christmas for me as a Muslim teacher is what my student should learn and understand from Christmas. And The answer is very simple because of Santa Claus. Santa Claus is a symbol of joy and giving. He travels around the world to give the children a gift, to help sick and poor people, and to give hope for living. Do you believe there is a real Santa Claus in this world? Have you ever gotten any gifts in your socks after you waking up? If yes, did you see him? And what did you believe when you were young? I believe that everyone can be Santa Claus. You don't need to have Santa's reindeer and tons of gifts like him, but we can easily start from learning how to take care of ourselves, learning how to share happiness, and being kind to one another. Everyone, when we are trying to learn other cultures, we are also learning the differences of people around the world. And today, we've not only learned about Christmas, but we've also learned about the cultural diversity. And in my opinion, Christmas doesn't have to be only the day on December 25th. We can create our own Christmas. It can be every day if you love to, and you can be Santa Claus whenever you like. But remember, you don't have to look like him, but act like him. This is my Christmas. Thank you very much.
Hope you had a great time watching our online programs. It's absolutely pleased go ahead and fill out the program survey by scanning the QR code. We do value your feedback. And well, before we wrap up our online events, please stay safe and enjoy every class and virtual event that our university and faculty have provided for you. Thank you.
ใจสู่ใจด้วยรักและผูกพันบังเกิดท่วมท้นเต็มดวงใจใจสู่ใจประสานใจจับมือเชื่อมความสัมพันธ์ตาสบตาก็ซึ้งใจสีเลือดในกายเหมือนกันเปี่ยมศักดิ์ศรีคือน้ำเงินและทองเลอล้ำค่าฉลอมลายประสานรักมั่นคงเรารวมพลังเพื่อมุ่งหวังให้ชื่อเสียงระบือเกลือไกลน้ำรามคำแหงคือถิ่นอันยิ่งใหญ่ยั่งยืนคู่ไทยตราบนิรันดร์เปี่ยมศักดิ์ศรีคือน้ำเงินและทองเลอล้ำค่าฉลอมลายประสานรักมั่นคงเปี่ยมศักดิ์ศรีคือน้ำเงินและทองเลอล้ำค่า